Thank you, Mr. Chairman and gentlemen, General, Admiral, good to see you. Thanks for your great service, and thanks for being here today. Admiral Davidson, I wanted to begin just kind of making sure we have very, very clear understanding of what's going on in the South China Sea. I think it's pretty obvious, but just having you stating this to the American people, to our allies in the Asia Pacific, standing next to President Obama in the Rose Garden in 2015, President Xi Jinping said, China does not intend to pursue militarization of the South China Sea. That was a quote from the President of China next to the President of the United States. Just a few months ago in January, China's major state-run newspaper, The People's Daily, stated, as China's military size and quality improve, so does its control of the South China Sea. China is able to send more naval vessels as a response and can take steps like militarizing the island. So this is the mouthpiece of the Communist Party. So was President Xi, he obviously didn't keep his word when he made that statement in the Rose Garden next to President Obama. Is that correct?
That's correct, sir. They, in the most liberal interpretation of militarizing those islands, China in April of 2018 populated those islands with anti-ship cruise missiles, with surface-to-air missiles, and electronic jammers.
10,000-foot runways.
Those were already there.
Okay.
But now they have the weapons, they've got sufficient military cadre, and they've stepped up their operations both in the maritime and with bomber sorties and fighter sorties in a way that makes it clear that those islands are to support them militarily.
So just to be clear, 2015, two presidents, Rose Garden, and President Xi obviously didn't keep his word on that issue.
I agree with that, yes, sir.
Well, I appreciate what you're doing in terms of regular FONOPs with our allies. The more we can do, the more regular. The previous administration seemed to be a little reluctant to do these. I think you guys are doing a much better job, so I commend you for continuing to do that. And the more we can bring our allies, a lot of talk about allies here, with regard to those FONOPs or some of the operations you described, the better. General Abrams, I wanted to turn to the issue that Senator Reid raised and just get your professional military views on what would be the tactical effects of removing a large portion or all of U.S. forces from the Korean Peninsula.
Senator, just for clarity, under the current set by the DPRK, I'm trying to...
I'm talking about our forces.
No, I understand, but nothing's changed on the north side of the
Correct.
MDL?
Correct.
That it would impose significant tactical and operational risk if there's no change on the other side of the MDL. And
strategically, hasn't Russia and China sought the removal of U.S. forces from the Korean Peninsula for decades as a core strategic goal of theirs?
Yes.
So China and Russia and North Korea would be pleased by such a withdrawal. Again, say it happened tomorrow.
There's actually some debate in,
really?
There is some debate.
China wouldn't be
no,
happy
sir.
with it?
It's on the DPRK. There's some mixed views on whether the DPRK really.
How about China and Russia?
Absolutely.
Okay. You might recall we passed a law, the NDAA, last year that actually states that the significant removal of United States military forces from the Korean Peninsula will not be supported in terms of authorized appropriated funds by the Congress below 22,000 troops unless the Secretary of Defense first certifies to this committee that it would be in the national interests of the United States to do so. So I just want you to remind everybody who's working on that that that's actually in the law right now. Finally, Admiral, I wanted to just touch base, and I think we can do it in a better sense in the classified setting this afternoon. But there is, I think, a lot of concern on this committee on the force posture of how our forces are deployed throughout the region to be ready for what is really kind of the big strategic challenge facing the United States, which is the rise of China over the next 50 to 100 years. I'll be interested in going into a lot more detail on the force posture issues, but I think there's a lot of good work that's been going on, but some of it seems to get stuck in the Pentagon, and I would welcome your views on that, but I think we need to be a little bit more creative on how we're looking at force posture. And I would want to remind you, I know you know it, but Alaska is not necessarily in your AOR, but the forces there, which are significant, your reserve forces, for example, General on the Korean Peninsula, are OPCON to PACOM. And a lot of those forces are actually closer to the Korean Peninsula and other places than forces, say, in Australia. So thank you very much.